I'm Logan, the 64th Gear Jammer Skeele, and this is another episode of Toy Talk. My channel is where I talk about all kinds of toys, from diecast, resin, and plastic. I also relate the toys to the real world and why we even have the toys, as toys are really a great way to remember the past and look forward to the future. What do you know? I just realized that this is the 90th episode of Toy Talk that I have made this year for you guys to watch. Wow! Thanks for watching, everyone. And with all these videos that I put out here, have you subscribed to make sure you don't miss any of my future ones? Today, I have for you another American invention that has shaped the history of farming, mining, and construction in America. It's the Bobcat. Show a need for a piece of equipment to two brothers, and the need was fulfilled. Not only that, by filling this need, the brothers started an entire industry. It goes to show you that a welding business can do way more than just weld steel together. Our story begins with two brothers owning a welding shop and a turkey farmer needing a lightweight machine to help him keep his turkey farm clean and healthy for raising turkeys. Our farmer, Eddie Bello, went to the welding shop one day in 1956 and told of his need for a lightweight machine that would help him clean up his turkey farm. He described the kind of machine he wanted to Lewis and Cyril Keller, owners and operators of Keller Welding and Repair near Rothsay, Minnesota. Eddie Bello described to the Kellers a machine that would be small enough to maneuver inside a barn, yet light enough to operate on its upper level. The Keller brothers accepted Eddie's challenge and developed a small, three-wheeled machine for Eddie. The machine was awkward looking, but functional, and met Eddie's needs. Possessing a tricycle appearance, but having four wheels. Two large non-steerable wheels in the front, and two small wheels with a short turning axle in the rear. The brothers delivered their creation to Eddie on February 4th, 1957. Shortly after that, a problem developed with the belt drive transmission. So, back to the drawing board. In 1958, they developed and patented a more clutch-based transmission system. This new transmission became the basis of the Melroe M60 Loader. Melroe Manufacturing Company, based in Gwinner, North Dakota, invited the Kellers to exhibit their machine at the 1958 Minnesota State Fair. The result? Les, Cliff, Roger, and Irv, the brothers that owned Melroe Manufacturing Company, the North Dakota-based fabricating company, saw a huge market waiting for the small, lightweight machine that the Keller brothers invented. Melroe then began to mass produce the Keller's machine. Improvements were made, and in 1960, with the introduction of the four-wheeled M400 model skid steer loader, Melroe began using the Bobcat name as its brand name. In 1962, with the 440 model loader, Les Melroe and advertising agent Lynn Bickett settled on the Bobcat name for Like Melroe Products. Named after the tough, quick, and agile prairie animal, the Bobcat brand name was applied in advertising for the early loaders. A change of ownership was around the corner for Melroe. In 1969, Melroe Manufacturing Company was purchased by Clark Equipment Company, which was then purchased by Ingersoll Rand in 1995. In 2007, Ingersoll Rand sold Clark Equipment Company to the Doosan Group of South Korea, along with the rest of its construction equipment group for US $4.9 billion. The Clark Equipment Company now does business as the Bobcat Company. The Bobcat Company owns worldwide trademark registrations for its Bobcat name. There's endless possibilities for development of these small machines. Gasoline, diesel, and electric power plants have been used. Wheeled and track layers have been used for movement. An endless array of tools have been invented to fit on these machines. The Keller brothers invented one of the most versatile machines for use on the farms, in mines, and on construction sites. Now guys, this is a really neat piece. It is the Melroe Bobcat very first production model that was out there. It is made by New Clover, and it doesn't look like the traditional skid steer that we are on, but it's based on the original one that they made for the turkey farmer, the two brothers. This is the one that Melroe made, and they put it on the market, and it was highly successful and led to the skid steer loader. It is a 1/25th scale die-cast model that it was made many, many, many years ago. You'll notice it is not in Bobcat white and black. It is an old Melroe yellow and red. Really, really sharp, and it was made by the Melroe Manufacturing Company back in the days when they were trying to determine what they were going to call these things. They hadn't even decided yet. And then they came out with a skid loader, and Bobcat was born, and look where we're at today. This is a die-cast model. It has soft rubber tires on plastic wheels, and there we go. It has Melroe right there and North Dakota. Another Melroe up on the bucket. You can see the loader arms are yellow. It has a piston here the piston is metal and the sleeve is plastic, which is common, and it allows the bucket to raise. Now, I wouldn't push it up too far. You could break your model, and I don't want you to do that. There's also a piston on the bucket here, as well as the two pistons on the loader, so that you can raise and lower, and you can also dump the bucket. This is in the tricycle configuration that they first came up with fixed front wheels and steerable rear axle. Like a caster system, but this is steered. Actually, it's very much like a forklift, and it worked very well. It made it a quite maneuverable machine, but then they found out the skid steer method would be much better. So that's what they came up with later. But you can see how it has a nice tread pattern on those tires. They do turn just like they're supposed to. And then here is the engine hood, and then the engine. Bobcat engines were in the back. They're still in the back today. Now, this one does have an opening hood, so you can see the detailed engine. It's a little bit bigger engine than the original, but not much. Little air-cooled thing. These were not big engine machines in the beginning, and really and truly, they're not very big engine machines today. But they do the job. They're made for maneuverability. And New Clover did a nice job making this model. They showed off the engine, and then they also gave you an opening hood, not just being able to kind of look through the open cracks. Over to the other side, you can see nice rubber tires, wheels, logos, and very similar detail. Now I'll raise this up a little bit, and you can see some. On the real machine, this was a wire mesh or a steel mesh so the driver could see through. They just replicated it fairly well on a solid piece. Been hard to make that mesh, but it could have been done, but they didn't. They just made them solid pieces. That's just for protection for the operator. Just like today, they're in those steel cages. But no rollover protection, no cab, no nothing, no canopy. You sat out there in the open when you worked this thing. Got your two levers there, which probably are your buckets or your controls. Another lever here, and then there's some foot pedals on the floor. Idea was probably exactly the same. Also, they put a hard plastic seat. Now these few parts are plastic right here,
and then the hard plastic seat. The motor is also plastic on this thing, but overall it's probably 90% die-cast with minimal plastic parts. Underneath here we do have a little more plastic on the base where it has the name. It's Bobcat Loader, New Clover, scale 1/25 and made in China. And these were made by New Clover directly for Bobcat, which makes them kind of unique. They weren't really hard to come by when they were available, but they were advertising pieces more than toys. Bobcat kind of went out and had companies make pieces so that they could just advertise more so than for us collectors. It's a great business model in the die-cast world, and really where you'll find most of the pieces that have been made are made for companies as advertising and promotional, as opposed to us collectors. Collectors are kind of a secondary market, whereas the primary is the promotions, because that's where the money is. Now, you will note it turns pretty well on that rear wheel. Pretty nice model, and it'll turn either way. And that is the New Clover 1/25 scale die-cast Melroe Bobcat Loader, based on Bobcat's very first design, which was the tricycle design. Worked well and led to all the Bobcats that we see today and all those fancy skid steers, and that whole new industry traces their roots right back to this machine.
Wouldn't we all love to own a real skid steer loader to play with? While that's a fun idea, it's not really practical for most of us. But a toy replica of one is very practical. I know, I've got a couple of different ones in my collection, and I think you should too. I don't currently have any Bobcat skid loaders available on my web store, but I do happen to have some Caterpillar skid and track loaders available, with the link in the description below. I think you should check them out and get some for your collection. Thanks for watching. I'm Logan, the 64th Gear Jammer Skeele, and I'd really appreciate it if you would please smash that like button, share this video with your followers, make a purchase on any of the sites listed down below, sponsor me over on my Patreon page, and subscribe to my channel. I'll be back soon with another episode of Toy Talk.